60 years ago, this coastal marsh near Preston in Lancashire was the scene of a tragedy. A group of American A26 bombers, fresh off the production line, were on their way to bases in France, but two of them didn't make it. Shortly after takeoff, they crashed, and all three crew members died. So what went wrong? Over the next 3 days, we're going to use archaeological techniques on what's essentially an air crash investigation. We're going to locate and excavate key parts of the wreckage in order to piece together the series of events that led to the death of 3 brave and experienced airmen. The area where the planes crashed is a couple of kilometres from the edge of the marsh. It's very difficult terrain, so we need to use specialised vehicles to move around. It's a bit bumpy in there, and slow.
Is this the Michael Schumacher version, or...?
The marsh is a site of special scientific interest, protected land because of its bird and plant life. It's situated here between Preston and Blackpool. The planes took off from this airbase at Warton, which is still in use today. When they crashed in 1944, all of this was sand, and they landed on top. One plane broke in two, the other was burnt out. All 4 engines separated and fell in different places. Since then, silting has resulted in the planes being buried, so they should be well preserved, which is very rare. We know where some parts are because of a couple of bits which stick out of the ground. Tim, is this part of an A26?
Yep, that's the tail of one of them.
Reassure me, are we being archaeologists and not just rather ghoulish scrap metal merchants?
Archaeology is a forensic investigation of the past. Here we have a plane buried beneath the soil. That's archaeology. What we're going to do is take it all off, back down to the original ground surface and see how it was and what we can learn about that.
Steve, you're going to be doing the crash investigation for us. Is archaeology going to help you?
Well, it's all we've got. I mean, I can't work with this. It's all buried. I can't see it. I need it returned as near as we can to November 1944.
So Steve's going to be like one of the finds experts on a normal time team. You dig the stuff out and he tells you what it is.
That's right. I mean, I've got a little bit of one worry, though. I'm not sure we've actually got a finds bag big enough to put that in.
Do we know there's likely to be much more of the planes other than that tail?
Take a look at that. Look at the photograph of that. This is taken on the day of the crash in 1944. Now, we tried recovering the thing unsuccessfully in 1983, and this is what we uncovered. So if you look at this and you go forward, you're actually walking along now the rear fuselage of this aircraft, which ends about here. So if you're actually looking back at the aircraft now, so this is what you stood on.
Where do you want to start, Tim?
Well, I think we'll start with the known. We have the tail sticking out of the ground here, and over there there's an engine. So we'll start with the 2 bits we know and find the rest by doing some geophys.
How are you going to do it?
We get a big digger in, Tony. I mean, Russell didn't have the advantage of any machinery at all. We can work around, we make the hole a lot bigger than he could have done. We know from the photograph that all this material's built up since 1944, so there's not likely to be very much archaeology as we can strip that off, record it, and then lift it.
Gently as you approach the metal, please, Phil, because, you know, I don't want gouges in the evidence.
Don't worry, don't worry. Remember, I've still got this.
Excellent. Thank you.
Under this propeller, about 100 metres from the tail, there should be an engine. Geophysics are already at work. Using what is in effect a huge metal detector, they're trying to see what other bits of the planes they can find. This is where the propeller is. We open one trench here and another over the tail. In his trench, Phil's chasing the top of the bodywork at the tail of the plane.
Oh! whoa, 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 whoa!
Using the bucket will need care. This is where an archaeological approach will be needed to make sure nothing is damaged.
Yeah, but it's not only that, it's on the skew, it's on the skew.
Yeah, it is, and it's also...
It is on the skew. OK, Lee, let's have a bit more then, please.
In the other trench, Kerry and Matt are looking for the engine attached to the propeller we saw sticking out of the ground. But it's not that simple.
We've got the propeller there, but
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
the
sure
blade
where
of it just sticking out.
Yeah, but we're not sure where the engine's running that way, or it could be the blade could be completely twisted when it crashed, so it could be running either this way or that way as
Yeah.
well. So.
Oh, see if you've got a step in.
Most of the two planes seem to be concentrated in a relatively small area. For 25 years, Russell and some friends have been trying to locate them and excavate them. They found some parts but couldn't get them off the marsh, like this gun turret, and this, which is an undercarriage leg. These will be lifted during the day and taken back to the incident room for examination. Meanwhile, we've got a pump at the ready in case we hit water, and we've also got the bomb squad in case we hit something more dangerous.
That looks like an entire wing section with engines attached to it.
Oh, really?
There.
In the incident room, Stuart and Steve Moss, our air crash investigator, are trying to piece together the events as we know them.
Change. I mean, these photographs give a good...
On November the 29th, 1944, a number of aircraft took off from Warton Air Base near Preston. They were American A26 Invaders, seen here taking off in the US. They were a brand new type of American bomber plane, only brought into active service 10 days earlier. The weather in Europe was awful. The pilots waited as long as they could until it improved a bit before taking off for France to reinforce the troops for the final push of the war into Germany. On takeoff, the weather was still poor. Within minutes, 2 of the planes crashed. 3 airmen died, 2 pilots and an engineer. Their bodies were removed from the site. Stu, can we get much of a clue about what happened from the original crash report?
No, not really, Tony. This is a copy of the original report here. The cause of the accident is unknown. It is assumed from witness statements that the airplanes collided while the formation was being assembled and before the pilots had reached their assigned positions. There are a number of witness statements which they refer to, and I think we're going to have to go through these quite carefully because they give contradictory statements. One says an aircraft exploded, others say they collided.
But what about the aircraft itself? What parts of it are going to be really diagnostic for you?
We will certainly be looking at the aircraft structure, the skin of the aircraft, the propellers, the engines. Be interesting to know whether the landing gear was up or down, things like that.
So basically, you want us to pull the planes out?
Yes, please.
Out on site in the trench with the tail in it, Phil's very quickly made real progress.
It's very, very thin, but it's solid though. It's pretty solid. Now what I want to do, dead keen to do, is to actually truncate it. In other words, to find out how deep, how far we got to go, and it looks like that's the end. So I reckon a couple of sweeps with a bucket, right. And that we got it that end, we got it this side. If we get it that end, and then we define that side, we're there. We've got the back end of an aeroplane.
He's now looking for the edge where the plane was broken. This is a delicate job, especially when using a big machine to widen the trench. But it gets the job done.
Now is that some sort of a bulkhead or something?
Is it solid?
Well, that is.
It's probably underneath it, isn't it? It's probably a frame where this is the top bit of the frame, but it would be hollow underneath.
Ah.
And it looks like it's absolutely full of mud.
Well, yeah. Maybe that's where all that water was being stowed then, underneath that plate. Because there was a hell of a lot of water come out of there.
This is the rear end of one of the planes. And this is what the whole thing should look like. It was a revolutionary aircraft.
The thing about it was that the United States Air Force really had great hopes for this aeroplane, that it would be so much more powerful. It had a maximum speed of over 370 miles an hour. It could carry 1,800 kilos of bombs, which is a considerable load for an aircraft of this size, and it could carry it further than any other existing light bomber. But they haven't actually arrived at Warton until September 1944, just 2 months before the accident with these aeroplanes.
I was going to say, so these are brand new, in fact, when they arrive.
Exactly, and that may be part of the problem. We're not sure yet, because the crews here servicing these aeroplanes for combat had only just started to familiarise themselves with it. The other thing I found very interesting was looking at the training video for the aircrew, because it's quite obvious that this aircraft took completely new skills to take off and land. It was quite different in its characteristics.
The A26 takes off and lands differently from any other airplane. The A26 takeoff is nose low.
The planes were difficult to fly for other reasons too. Visibility from the cockpit was very poor. Bigger engines alongside the canopy made it very difficult to see out, and the pilots had very little training time on them.
We've got photographs of both the pilots. This is Norman Zuber, and we know that he joined the 409th Bombardment Group about 5 or 6 months before the crash. And this is Kenneth Hubbard, the other pilot.
What about the third man?
Well, that's Corporal John Guy. We've got no photographs of him, but they were all quite decorated. They all had a number of medals. They were all fairly experienced men, particularly Kenneth Hubbard, and he's the most interesting one. He'd done up to about 50 missions, and he was about due to go back to the United States. And I understand he actually volunteered. He didn't have to come back to England to collect one of the new A26 Invaders. So it's a particularly poignant fact that he should have been killed in this terrible accident.
The plane flown by Hubbard was the one that broke in 2 parts. The tail being excavated by Phil is from Hubbard's plane. Zuber's plane landed largely intact, but burnt out on the ground. We haven't found that yet. The engines broke off both planes and landed separately. Discovering which engine belonged to which plane will be crucial in working out what might have gone wrong. In the trench with the engine in it, we've made a lot of progress.
Am I going to show myself up if I say it looks like an engine?
No, not at all, Tony. It's certainly is a very big one too. The giveaway is the propeller at the front as well, which helps. But I think the basic engine, you can see the 2 banks of cylinders here. It was front, rear of 9 cylinders, making a total of 18. And these are the rocker covers. And at the front here, we've got the propeller.
Nice looking blade, isn't it?
Well, not really. Now, this one worries me a bit. I don't like the leading edge damage to that one. But this is even more suspicious, the damage to this blade. It's actually lost, hard to say, but about a foot of the tip, I guess. That's indicative of an impact at high power, and I don't think it's impact with the ground. I think it's impact with another aircraft in the air. So we're looking for propeller slashes on the airframe bits.
What do we do with it now that we've found it?
We lift it and clean it off and have a look at it.
Given the propeller damage on this engine, it'll be really important to work out if it came from Hubbard's or Zuber's plane. It seems one plane struck the other. But which one? And can we work out why? Right now, though, John's got some interesting geophysics results for us to look at. And we've got another propeller.
Look at this. This has been lying here undisturbed for around about 60 years. John, did you notice that with your geophys?
Yes, we did find that. There's actually a whole engine down there, I think. And what's more, I think we've got the main part of the cockpit here.
So you've got an engine here, you reckon?
Yep.
And there's an engine up there?
Look at the results. That's the creek you've just crossed over. They're the tents behind us. At that point, you've got the propeller in the ground with a big engine there. This strong response comes on this side. I think that's the back of the cockpit, and you've got sort of shielding behind the pilot there. So you'd have the cockpit, the main part of the fuselage, coming here, with a tail at that point there. But we've lost that, and it's over there where we're digging. This engine, that's gone, and that's what we're digging over there. Mm-hmm. You'd have had the wings coming out here, and then couple of strong anomalies there.
You've just drawn a rather arbitrary plane for apparently no reason at all.
Where are these wings?
Well, we haven't surveyed that bit yet, but I'm convinced they're there.
Is that plausible?
Well, it's possible, but are you saying really that bit there is a wing?
No, I think that's lost. I think we've got maybe metal along the edge of the creek. But that's the basic plan. I think we're on the core of the plane here.
Well,
you don't believe me?
No, not really. No.
Dig it.
Are you going to put in several trenches to test his hypothesis?
I think we'll put one right over the middle here and see what he's really got.
Well, remember this at the end of day 3 and see how that marries up to what we find.
It does rub out, though.
Over in Phil's trench, where the tail is, things are getting a bit on the sticky side. But some things are becoming a bit clearer.
What's that white stuff on the side?
Well, it's the paint. We've actually got the markings, the US Air Force. So it's just coming through underneath all the mud.
Funny, isn't it, the way it sort of steps down at the front?
That's part of the canopy over where the rear gunner was sitting. The circular cut underneath is probably something to do with this mark here. So, in other words, it's broken off immediately behind the wings. Here's the exciting bit. If you look underneath, there's the rear gun turret. It's set somewhat further back. It ought to be right underneath there.
So we won't see that till we lift it?
Exactly.
But it'll be a while before we do. We start to clear the mud out of the inside by hand. In the trench with the engine in it, the diggings come to a halt. Matt's recording what we've found. Now we just have to lift it.
Let's get down in here.
To do that, we've got a crew of specialists. The RAF Crash and Smash team, experts at lifting planes that have crashed. All the archaeologists can now do is sit back and watch. This engine weighs about 2 tons now, what with all the mud attached to it. We're worried that the engine and the propeller will separate when we try to lift it. It's tense.
This is going right down to the wire. We've got to be off the marsh in about 15 minutes, and no one knows whether when they lift that it'll actually hold together. So, fingers crossed. Excellent, what a fantastic way to end the first day. So now Steve Moss will be able to clean it up, have a look at it, and hopefully find some clues which will tell us why those 2 planes crashed 60 years ago.
Join a thriving worldwide community of Time Team fans on Patreon.
Our new target is to reach 15,000 worldwide supporters on Patreon by the end of 2025. This will enable us to continue expanding the Time Team world with more digs and greater access than ever before.
Beginning of day 2, here on a marsh near Preston, where we're looking for the remains of 2 World War II bombers. Yesterday was great. We got an engine and we got a tail, and that only leaves us 3 more engines and a fuselage and 2 wings left to find, not to mention all of the other plane. And any of that shopping list could give us the clues that we need in order to work out why the 3 airmen aboard died back in 1944. That's some tall order, given that we've only got 48 hours left. What you got there?
Looks like a swimming pool, Tony!
First port of call for me this morning is the new trench we decided on yesterday. If John's right, this should have the front end of Hubbard's plane in it. It's where we found that other propeller.
This is the trench over here that we were hoping to dig yesterday and didn't make it, where we think the cockpit is. Tim, this trench is pretty impressive.
Well, it is. We hoped we'd come down onto a bit of the plane, and we've got here one side of it right in front of you.
Oh, this here?
Yeah. In fact, we're pretty confident this is the cockpit. This is one of the struts, which means we're on the... this is the outside, this is the inside, and the
other side should be over there. I can see it's curving
that's
this
right.
way, isn't
Yes,
it?
that's right.
So have you found anything on that side?
Well, there is metal showing up over there. It's
where
about,
Lancashire is?
Yeah, that's right. It's about 4 or 5 feet, which is about the width I understand that these things are.
It's going to take forever getting this cockpit out, given our experience of the tail and the engine yesterday, isn't it? And we've got this engine. If we find 2 more wings, it's a heck of a lot of work in 2 days.
It's quite a lot of work, but I'm not that worried.
You never are.
Well, perhaps not, but we know which way it's lying. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
If we'd had to come down onto it and we hadn't known what we were dealing with, we could have spent ages working around. Now we know which way it's lying. We know, we were pretty sure because of the engine which is the front. So we just extend out and do the best we can.
Whip this out, whip the engine out, find the wings, bosh, bosh, bosh.
Absolutely.
We now have 2 trenches open. Yesterday's trench, where we found the engine, is now closed. Phil is still excavating the tail of Hubbard's plane here. And here, in our new trench, we should have most of the rest of Hubbard's plane. But how much of it is actually here? The engine we lifted yesterday is now being washed. Once we get it cleaned up, we should be able to identify the plane it belonged to from its fittings. The engines of the 2 planes had different specifications. The damage to the propeller of this engine suggests it hit something at high speed in the air, so identifying the plane it comes from is crucial. In the incident room, Stuart and Guy are hitting the phones. First off, they call a pilot in Norway who currently flies an A26.
A26 is very definitely not an aircraft for little boys. I have close to 1,000 hours on the type. It was definitely a very demanding aircraft. If you go in cloud, then you're basically in a situation where you're not able to fly formation. It's all becomes a sort of a Russian roulette, and I mean, you don't see where you're going, and you could easily fly into another aircraft.
Right. I've been looking through the manual, and there's a whole section on formation flying, and one of the interesting things here is there's a section that specifies the takeoff interval, so that's the exact amount of time you're supposed to leave between each aircraft as it leaves the airfield before going up to get into formation.
We need to study this in detail, don't we, if we're going to understand what might have happened when these aircraft were over the airbase before they collided.
What were they supposed to do, and did they manage to achieve it?
Russell, how old were you when you first got interested in this plane?
14.
And how old are you now?
40.
Why? Why did you keep up this passion for all those years?
Well, not just for this. This is what started me off. This was the thing that began my interest in it. It was this one. It was the fact that large relics of the Second World War were still lying on the surface almost 30 or 40 years after the event. It fascinated me. I thought this would have been swept away years ago.
Shouldn't we leave them for posterity?
But if we do that, look what's happened to it up to now. I mean, this will just be buried and then it'll be lost another 10 years, and that tail will be completely covered and it'll be never seen again. But what I'm more concerned with, I'd like to try and get the bits out intact if we can.
How much? How much do you want out?
All of it.
I can see trouble ahead.
Out in the mud, Phil's team are trying to clean up at the end of the first stage of their work. And he has some news.
Come on, look at the tail section. I mean, we have got here the whole shooting match. We've also got, funnily enough, seeing as how you asked me for it, that is the 1944 surface. Look at the colour of it. I mean, you see it's a very sort of dark brown, grey brown in colour. Compare it to that sand over there.
Yeah.
This is a very dark sand.
Yeah.
That's an orange sand. That's 1944, that's after 1944.
Oh, really?
And in places you've actually got seashells in it.
Really? Well, that proves it, doesn't it? Yeah.
What we got here is the actual main tailplane section. Here we've got the aluminium of the underside, the top surface is gone. But in between we've got the main ribs that hold the whole thing together. And then beyond that, I mean, literally all we've got is the skeleton of the main flap.
Elevator.
flap, elevator.
Elevator.
Well, I call it a flap anyway.
Yeah,
it's the bit at the back that goes up and down.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, it's actually a very flimsy structure anyway, relatively, because it's normally fabric covered, so you just got the ribs. And
That's it.
The tailplane elevator are great. It's filled in the last bit of the jigsaw, which was, is it there? Yes, it is, and it's there from root to tip. So that hadn't come off in here. That's an important bit of information, and we haven't actually seen that before.
Phil begins to record this before we lift it. It must be one of the biggest finds he's ever dug. It's still a wonderful piece of archaeology.
It's a bit different from what you usually do, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. We are dealing with layers. There is the 1944 beach and there is the beach above it. We're dealing with an object. You clean all the way around it, you define the edges of it, and you record it. So that if somebody says, where exactly was the tail section of this plane? Which way round was it? You know, you've got all that information. Anyway, you want to get in there and get yourself dirty. Come on, let's do it.
Let's get it sorted.
With the engine from yesterday now cleaned up, Steve is able to tell us that it comes from Zuba's plane, the one that burnt out on the ground. This means that we now really need to find evidence of propeller damage on Hubbard's plane, on the tail being excavated by Phil, and in the other trench where Tim's working.
You may remember that yesterday evening, John drew this little picture of an aeroplane on his geophys, which indicated that somewhere down there was an aeroplane, and it was entirely speculative, and he put in these wings, which nobody believed. Come and have a look, Steve. Look what we've got here. You are the god of geophysics, John.
What do you think, Tim?
OK, I was wrong. There is a little bit of an aeroplane here.
What have we got?
Well, we've got the cockpit in the middle.
As predicted.
And right at the front, we have the nose.
Also as predicted.
Don't crow, John.
Further back, there's the bomb bay behind, and then where these two are, there is a gun turret that's collapsed. And I have to say, it is true, we do appear to have wings. This in front of me is still going on under your feet, and Rexha, your wing's still going at the end, isn't it?
It certainly is, Tim.
So, we have much of a plane.
Pretty good, Steve.
Yeah, amazing.
What does it tell us so far?
Well, looking at it, I can see this left wing has had a big problem. It's missing the leading edge, which is where Tim is, and it looks to me like there's a big hole. There's no skin on there, is there?
No, nothing there at all.
This wing, I wouldn't be surprised if it stops pretty soon under here.
So what do we need to do?
For a start, I want to see where this wing ends. I want to see the break in the fuselage over there. I also want to check that we've got an engine under there. I want to check that the wingtip goes all the way out. There's a lot more digging to be done, Tony.
So, great geophysics, very good archaeology, but we need to do 10 times more.
A good start.
This is a big ask from Steve. This is Hubbard's plane. Is this wing broken off short? If so, might it have been hit by the propeller from Zuba's plane? How does the rear end of this section of the plane match up with the tail found in Phil's trench? And what might have caused this break? And does this wing, or the engine under here, show any signs of damage? This trench is going to get very big. Over in Phil's trench, we've had to come to an uncomfortable decision. This piece of the tail is really delicate, and there's a real danger that it will all fall apart if we try to move it in one piece. Reluctantly, we decide to cut it off so that we can remove it safely.
Hey?
Hold it. It's all right.
The problem now is all the mud that's still left inside the main body of the tail. Shoveling it out by hand isn't working quickly enough. So Phil's come up with an unconventional way of doing it. But shifting this lot isn't easy. We reckon there's about 6 tons of mud inside this tail. It's going to take Phil and his crew at least 5 or 6 hours. Just imagine trying to clean a car that's been buried for 60 years using a small jet hose. But Phil has the back end of a plane to do. Hard day at the office then, Phil?
That was your first engine that we found.
John's got new geophysics results.
Here's the main plane.
The news is both good and bad.
We've now
A
got
decision
another
needs
engine
to be
at that
taken.
point there. But look, we've got this fantastic response here.
John thinks that this is the second plane, Zuba's. But given Steve's wish list from earlier, can we even think of trying to excavate any of this one?
You're not tempted?
I'd be very tempted, but it's not practical, is it? Even if we manage to excavate it out, once we've got it, with the degree of burning that we know from the Stuart's photographs has occurred, it's going to take weeks to analyse it, and we haven't got weeks. So I think one complete aircraft is better than 2 incomplete ones.
And at least we've pinpointed then where we think the second plane is and where the engines are. So if something...
This is an important decision. We now won't get everything out. So all the evidence we need has to come from the front end of the plane in this trench and from the tail in Phil's trench. Back in the incident room, Stuart's still trying to work out how difficult formation flying was during the war. This pilot flew A26s.
What was the visibility like out of the cockpit of the A26?
Excessively limited. If you looked out of the cockpit to the left, you looked right into an engine itself. You could see above that, but you couldn't see what was right next to you. So that it made that close formation flying that we were accustomed to impossible. That was a little hairy sometimes because as often as not during a formation flight, you couldn't see, you never knew where the rest of the guys were.
They found a big gun in the cockpit trench, and we've got a bomb disposal team in to have a look at it.
In fact, this trench has moved on a lot. There's much more of the cockpit visible. There's even an undercarriage leg which has come through the floor, complete with tyre. They're making good progress at the rear end. And then there's the gun.
Could there be any live ammo in there anywhere?
There's a chance, yes. There's very possibly one round cocked into the breech.
Where's that?
The breech is down here. So we'll have to check this. If I can't identify whether it's safe here, I'm going to have to X-ray it.
In situ?
No, we'll have to take it out.
Oh, take it out even though there might be a bullet inside it?
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Kerry? Does that seem pretty secure?
Every time I take a little bit more out, it's getting looser and looser. A few minutes ago, I couldn't move any of it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can move it.
Digging this out without knowing whether there's a live round in the breech or not is a bit of a worry.
Oh, yes.
Set your hand down there. I can't actually move any further.
Well, what a fantastic end to a great day. And there's still plenty more to come up tomorrow. Don't go away.
If you'd like to see more episodes like this, you can make it happen.
Our new target is to reach 15,000 worldwide supporters on Patreon by the end of 2025. This will enable us to continue expanding the Time Team world. Enjoy front row seats for the greatest show on Earth and under it.
Flipping out, Phil, she looks like a beached whale.
Yeah, I know, and I mean, whales aren't supposed to be beached, are they? Their natural environment is the water, and That one's natural environment is the air. It doesn't look at all healthy. The more dirt we've taken out, the more you realise it's just riddled with holes.
Shouldn't you be pumping that water out?
No, it doesn't matter at the moment. I mean, at the minute, that's our best friend, because we can actually use that water as a source to actually jet water inside to get all the dirt out. If we lifted it now, the weight of the muck and the weakness of the aluminium, it would just fall to bits.
She's never going to come up in one, though, is she?
I sincerely hope she does. I mean, you know, it won't be for want of trying.
There's frantic activity at the big trench with the cockpit in it. Lots of people doing lots of digging. But are they going quickly enough? Archaeology is always a pretty slow process at the best of times, but in this mud it's virtually at a standstill. As soon as you put your feet in it, you have to whip them out quick, because otherwise you get completely stuck. Have we got a strategy today, Tim, or are we going to spend the entire time trying to get our wellies out of this stuff?
We do have a strategy, yes. We were just looking at this propeller here.
So is this another blade of the prop that was sticking out up there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the one we saw before. So the question is really, do we have to get this one out?
Do we have to get it out?
Yes, I think you do, Tim. It's most important. For the same reason that it was important with the other engine and propeller, this is important as well. I'd like to see all three blades.
So that's another few metres on the edge of your trench?
Well, I think we knew that was going to happen, didn't we? Yeah, we've got this to take out, and also we need to chase the wing that we saw part of yesterday to get the end of it.
When you say get them out, we're not going to be able to lift all this, are we?
Oh, no, I don't think we have the resources for that. What we can do is to expose it all so that Steve can really see what was going on.
We will lift some things, though. There's a couple of guns at the back that the bomb squad are helping us with. The nose cone at the front can come out. And we'll remove this wheel. Over at Phil's trench, though, there seems to be a real problem with the tail. You got a crisis?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, Tony.
Something.
Well, this whole thing is leaning over here.
Where's it tipping from?
Well, it's just broken at that seam there. Look, here, look, you can see this morning it was in dead centre in its right place, but in a very, very short time it's going.
It must be the weight of the clay in there, I think, that's actually bringing it down. There's still some in there we can't get out. I suspect that's what's doing it.
Cut it off, Russell?
Well, I'm being practical. This is day 3, isn't it?
I know you're being practical about it, but for the last 3 days you've been saying to me I would really like
I would.
your one piece.
But it's a foregone conclusion now that there's no other way we're going to get this thing out. I don't want to return away, leave here with that thing still lying in here after all this effort. There's no way. We've got to get it out.
Right, Russell, what I'd like to do is, you see the frame running through there?
Yeah.
I'd like to cut this side of it and all the way down that side.
How are we going to support this tail fin,
Well,
aren't
what we can do, we can put a strop round it and tie it off somewhere.
I mean, that
Over there.
it's just moving so
it
much.
needs slinging before we cut it.
Definitely.
Yeah, get it slung.
You don't want it falling on top of anybody, do you?
No.
Me in particular.
We'll be under there another 30 years.
Naively, I'm just trying to hold it up. Yeah.
For all of us, not just Russell, this is a painful process. We've all bonded with this plane, and it's a bit like watching a friend have an amputation. There's no way we're lifting this in one piece now. The question is, will we be able to lift it at all? This plane was the one flown by Kenneth Hubbard. We managed to get hold of his sister Ruth, who still lives close to where they grew up in America. How old was he when he died?
27. I was 4 years older, so about 31.
So he was your baby brother?
Yes, he was engaged
Who to?
to Agnes O'Brien.
An Irish girl.
She was the last one he saw before he went overseas. She kept a journal, and she had it written down when she woke up in the middle of the night and she heard Kenneth calling her name. And she wrote down the time. And when they checked back on the time in England when he crashed, it was almost identical time. And she woke up and she said, "Oh, he's dead, he's dead."
In the big trench with the cockpit, Steve's becoming very keen to see the end of the wing that Matt's chasing. He's beginning to put together a theory.
Well, as we predicted yesterday, there's no more wing outside here, so this wing has broken off, outboarded the engines. As I'm working on a theory that the other aircraft has come up from behind and his left wing has crashed into this left wing.
So they're actually on top of each other in the sky?
On top of each other, and has broken the wing, and that's what caused it. But it is only a theory.
Yeah,
I need to get back. Not at all sure.
Back at Phil's Trench, the RAF have almost finished cutting the tail fin in two. We're now close to the moment of truth. 24 hours of worrying about what might happen when we try to lift this are about to be answered. Stop. There's real tension in the air.
Just hear it creak.
Yeah. They've been trying to get it up for about 25 minutes now. They keep pulling very tentatively, but every time they do, it's like the whole thing begins to collapse like a pack of cards. There he goes. They were scared stiff that there would be too much suction underneath it, but isn't that great?
Did you ever think you'd see the bottom of that?
Underneath this piece, the floor is crushed inwards, but there doesn't seem to be any propeller damage to it. So any clues as to what happened might still be under the bit that's left. Meanwhile, Steve and Stuart are getting close to what they think might have happened to Hubbard's plane.
It's basically in three major pieces: the forward fuselage and the cockpit, the rear fuselage and the tail. It's also missing its left wing. The left engine has come off in flight. It all bears out that it's been struck from underneath.
The visibility issue really in this collision is these very large engines that project from the front. They restricted visibility that way. So I've spoken to a pilot who flies these things, and we've got accounts from the pilots of the day who even refused to fly them because of this visibility thing. Their vision was restricted to like a cone out the front. So it's an absolute pig to fly. That's basically how I describe this thing. And particularly pig to fly when they're in formation and trying to form up.
Well, I've put together a formation flying, so I've sort of put together the first flight of 6 planes coming together. As it starts to bank and you get all the planes coming up one after the other, starting to stack in the air. When we turn it around and look again the other direction, we can see the second 6 coming in from behind and below, and look at our 2 planes coming in.
This is Hubbard over here, and Zuba is this aircraft out here. Hubbard's here. You see he's actually coming up below.
It's all set up for
Hubbard, yes, right.
Yeah. I'm just amazed it didn't take more planes out of the air, to be honest. Just saying that, the way they're so close together.
That was a problem, yeah.
Victor has been out at the Hubbard plane. There's one story we need to tell, and it's the story of a hero, Stanley Bogonsky, a worker at the airbase. He was the first man on the scene. This is what he said in his eyewitness report.
I looked in the plane that was not on fire and found the pilot and co-pilot dead. I left them there and waded over to the burning plane that was approximately 75 feet away. Smoke was belching up so bad I couldn't see anything. I could see the pilot was on fire. The only way I could get him out was by chopping off his parachute and dragging him out. The smoke was getting so bad I had to give away for a while. I had to stop once when I was dragging him out as I got on fire myself. The whole procedure took about 3 hours in all. For this action, Sergeant Bogonsky was awarded the Soldier's Medal.
Back on site, we're lifting things thick and fast. We lift an engine out of the cockpit trench. There's no real damage to it, so it can be disregarded as a piece of evidence. In Phil's trench, the work's now done, and we're lifting the rest of the tail. Will the clues we need be underneath? Well, it still holds one surprise. The bottom has disappeared.
What do you reckon's happened to it, Steve?
Well, it's missing completely the lower half of the fuselage, or the lower fuselage skin. Phil tells me it's not down there. We haven't left it behind. So there's two possibilities. One, it's over on the other side with the other piece of fuselage. Or two, it came out in the air.
Why would it break up in the air?
The most likely reason for that could be propeller damage on the underside. That would chop it into small pieces and scatter it.
Now that Phil's trench is finished, it's all hands to the pump over at the big trench with the cockpit in it. We're exposing more of the wing and chasing the break at the rear of the plane. These two areas are now key to our investigation.
It's 5:45, day 3. We've got Phil, we've got a mechanical digger, and about 20 people, all trying to get as much of the plane out as possible. I don't think I've ever seen so many people in one trench. Fantastic job, Tim. How far have we got?
Well, we've cleaned this end of the wing as we said we would. We're working against the rising tide here. With the back of the plane, we've cleaned back, pretty much got to the bottom at one point, but we haven't quite finished, mainly because of all the extra bits we can't interpret we found at the back.
What does all this tell us, Steve?
Well, starting with the broken left wing, it confirms the earlier hypothesis that the other aircraft's wing has rammed into the back of this one, into the rear spar, causing the wing to fail. And that's why we haven't got it on site. We can really identify an aircraft here, in front, over the wing, but when we get back to this area, which is the sort of gunner's compartment area...
It's all mashed up, isn't it?
It's a mess.
It looks like it's been through a tumble dryer.
I think that's very significant.
So do you think that that was hit by the propeller?
I think there's a high probability that it was.
Russell, we didn't get it all out.
No, we didn't, did we?
Are you gutted?
No, I'm not gutted. I think everything we get out is a bonus, everything. We're only an amateur aviation archaeology group. There's no way we could ever mount a recovery attempt on this scale, not in a million years.
So you're not too upset?
No, I'm not. No, not at all. No, just to get that damn tail out, I'm quite happy with that tail, really, to be honest, because it's been a thorn in our side for 20 years and a bit of a challenge.
The pieces we removed over the last 3 days will all be placed in an aircraft museum after they've been properly cleaned up. They provided us with important information about what might have happened to cause these two aircraft to crash in 1944. The damage to Zuba's propeller shows that it struck something in the air. We now know that it hit Hubbard's plane at the rear of the gunner's department, causing the plane to break in two. And this missing wing is further evidence of a collision in the air. Putting it all together, we can say that Hubbard took off as plane number 6 in the first flight. Behind him was another wave of planes forming up. Zuba was number 2. The weather was poor, visibility not great. Zuba, flying solo, lost sight of the plane in front and did what he was supposed to do. He dropped down and had a look around. When he came back up, he couldn't see Hubbard's plane. He hit the bottom of it. His left wing caught the left wing of Hubbard's. His propeller smashed through the other plane, causing it to break in two. The fuel in his wing tank started a fire, which caused his plane to burn as it hit the ground. These were experienced pilots, but new planes which were difficult to handle, with poor visibility and bad weather, all came together to cause their untimely deaths. After this accident, pilots of A26s rewrote the rules. They changed the way they flew in formation to give themselves a better chance. Never again were two A26s to collide in the air in more than 30 years of service. Join Time Team on Patreon
to access exclusive 3D models, masterclasses and behind-the-scenes insights.